The Ascension of the Lord, hope that awakens us to bear witness to the Risen One. On the 8th and the 9th of May on the Mount of Olives, the celebration of the Ascension of the Lord. From biblical narrative to historical and archaeological tradition, the celebrations where the Lord gave hope to our hearts. Orthodox Holy Saturday, the Feast of Holy Fire. Popular piety and liturgy overlap in Orthodox Holy Saturday, the Feast of Holy Fire. The Feast of St. James, human suffering has no flag. The celebration in Terra that unites Hebrew-speaking Catholics on the occasion of the liturgical feast of St. James on the 4th of May. Commissioners appeal for the return of pilgrims to the Holy Land. Although it is difficult to return to the large numbers of pilgrims passing through the shrines and on the roads of the Holy Land every day, small groups are organizing themselves toward unity, wishes among the churches as prophecy. The tradition of Easter greetings is not a mere formality, but a prophetic sign of a church that walks towards unity and that here in the Holy Land lives ecumenism as an urgent challenge. The Terra Organ Festival in Lebanon and Syria. The spring musical season of the Terra Organ Festival ran from the 12th of April to the 1st of May, with 19 concerts. Men of Galilee, why do you stand looking up to heaven? As you have seen him ascend into heaven, so will the Lord come. Although the evangelist does not tell us the precise location, the approximate indication is towards the Mount of Olives. Tradition has also fixed a material element to remind us of this: the footprints of the Lord, which in some way, to this day, preserve the tradition of footprints. And the footprints signify the presence of the Lord in this place. Archaeology, says Fra Aliata, has taken an interest in the history of the place, and following ancient records, the remains of a round church were found that belonged to various historical periods. In the Crusader period, it seems that the church was properly octagonal, and in the Byzantine period, it was decidedly round. Pilgrims also tell us that from inside the church, there were lamps strongly illuminating the windows looking towards Jerusalem. The Mount of Olives is right in front of Jerusalem, towering over it and providing the best view of the city. Nowadays, the property belongs to Muslims who allow Christians to celebrate their feasts according to the liturgical calendar of each community. After all, our presence in Jerusalem is precisely that of being in the place where Jesus passed. And this is perhaps the last place where Jesus passed, and therefore of particular importance. And to actualize the mystery of the life of Christ, the Franciscans of the Holy Land gathered to pray and watch over this same mountain. From Wednesday afternoon, with the solemn entrance of the Vicar of the Custody of the Holy Land, Brother Ibrahim Faltas, followed by first Vespers, and then the procession around the wayside shrine with the invocation of all the saints. Throughout the night, communities come to celebrate in groups. The celebrations on this mountain conclude with the solemn Mass at 9:30 a.m. Despite the difficult times the Holy Land is experiencing, some groups of pilgrims and local Christians have come to participate in the solemnity. After 7 months of this bloody war, Ascension awakens us to be witnesses of the Risen One. Here today we have prayed for all the victims of the war, so close to us, and before which our suffering and helplessness is truly great. Thousands of people have died. We prayed for them. We prayed that the Lord would put an end to this inhumanity in the minds and also in the hearts of these powerful people. The solemnity of the Lord's Ascension makes us experience that with Christ our humanity has risen, and our hope of joining him in glory has been strengthened. Crowds gather around the Basilica of the Holy Sepulchre, pilgrims from all parts of the Orthodox world, Serbia, Russia, Bulgaria, Romania, and of course the Greek Patriarchate of Jerusalem have come to celebrate Holy Saturday. On this day, popular piety and liturgy overlap, and the ancient rite of the lampstand, which Latin Catholics now celebrate at the beginning of the Easter Vigil, is charged with cultural elements that express belonging and identity. A great ecumenical feast, that of the sacred fire, in which all Orthodox churches are involved in the same celebration. The Greek Patriarch makes his entrance to the Holy Sepulchre, and after circling the shrine 3 times, he enters the tomb of Jesus. During the Crusader reign in Jerusalem, presiding over the rite was the Latin Patriarch. From there, the holy fire begins to spread first throughout the Basilica, where the patriarchs and bishops of the other churches are the first to receive it, and then throughout Jerusalem and to the ends of the earth. This flame will reach everywhere: Moscow, Athens, Belgrade. Easter sets history on fire. Christ, the light of the world, victor over death, reaches every man through his members, who are the Christians, his holy church, illuminated by the presence of the risen one who walks with her and will never abandon her. A very strong feast, that of Orthodox Holy Saturday, an ecumenical feast in which the Lord of life presents himself as the light that enlightens every man. And this is the meaning of the lampstand, which will be repeated in all the churches of the world. An Easter proclamation of the victory of Jesus, who brings us back to walk in the light, the eternal and infinite love of the Holy Trinity. The expression Mass in Hebrew may be strange at first glance, as it is the language of the Jewish religion, but in the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem there is actually a St. James Vicariate which aggregates precisely for Hebrew-speaking Catholics, and it is in this language that Mass is celebrated on the occasion of the liturgical feast of May the 4th. We consider ourselves a continuation of the first Christian community founded by St. James, Bishop of Jerusalem. The solemn Mass was presided over by Father Piotr Zelasko, Patriarchal Vicar, and was celebrated in the church of Dei Rafat Monastery. Father Piotr said that according to the message of St. James, no group can claim to be superior to another just because they are different. He also addressed the difficult time the Holy Land is experiencing, saying that people's suffering has no flag and tears have no nationality. Doing the Lord's will, which for everyone means loving one another, is the only and universal prerequisite for salvation. Most of the members of this community are Christians who have immigrated to Israel from different countries for family or other reasons.
There
are faithful from all over the world who speak different languages, but in this community everyone gathers together praying in Hebrew.
Some members of this group are Jewish converts to Christianity, including Father David Neuhaus. Joy is very important in our lives, and perhaps it is the gift we need to give to the world. I'm a proud son of the Jerusalem Church. Most of the faithful in this church speak Arabic and a minority speak Hebrew, and I hope we can live together and be happy. And this is the witness we can give. Today, the Hebrew-speaking Catholic communities are present mainly in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, Jaffa, Haifa, Beersheba, and Tiberias. The Vicariate wants to provide Christian education for the children and organize weekend meetings for their children. The biggest challenge for us is to pass on the faith to the younger generation, to raise our children in the faith, teach them our values and help them live the faith. The vicariate promotes the values of peace, justice, tolerance and reconciliation, even in the midst of a climate of violence and war. The first Christians and faithful came out of Jerusalem and of the people of Israel and went to all parts of the world. I think we can find here the possibility of building bridges between the Jewish world and the Catholic Church. Challenges continue in the Holy Land, including those related to the lack of pilgrims. Although it is difficult to reach large numbers of pilgrims passing through the shrines on the city streets each day, small groups are being organized. The Conference of Commissioners of Italy organized a refresher course for brothers, commissioners and collaborators of their commissariats. We believe that our presence in the Holy Land today, organized according to criteria of prudence, is a necessary sign of hope for our brothers and for this blessed land. These are the words of Brother Sergio Galdi, Commissioner General of the Holy Land.
Sì, è vero, questo è un momento particolarmente difficoltoso, però non dobbiamo disperare, nel senso che è fondamentale.
This is a particularly difficult time. However, we must not despair, in the sense that it is essential that we continue to come to the Holy Land. It is true that now the pilgrimage has had a pause, a halt, and no pilgrimages were organized before because of the pandemic, but then they had resumed. Now it's because of the war. But it is important that the pilgrimage also resume with groups, albeit small groups. We as commissioners of the Holy Land are divided into the Language Conference and the Italic Conference, to which many commissioners also from Eastern and Northern Europe belong, which also organizes refresher courses for pilgrim guides. And so again this year, as well as last summer, we returned to the Holy Land.
Biblico che spirituale per appunto essere sempre più professionali nella guida dei pellegrini per i luoghi santi.
In the words of Brother Sergio Galdi, caution is called for, but he also makes a plea for the return of the pilgrims to the Holy Land who support Christians and the local population with their presence.
Certamente bisogna essere particolarmente prudenti.
For both biblical and spiritual deepening, to be more and more professional in guiding pilgrims to the holy places. Certainly we have to be particularly careful, even at this time, in drafting a pilgrimage that can be as safe as possible. But this is the task of us commissioners, to try to ensure all the best and better services to the pilgrims here in the Holy Land. It's important now, particularly, that we go back to the Holy Land because for the local people this is crucial.
Per la popolazione locale questo è fondamentale. Tutto l'indotto del turismo religioso.
The whole business of religious tourism, pilgrimages, is totally blocked, and this is creating a very deep economic injury for all the locals. Therefore, it is necessary for pilgrimages to resume. We are all pilgrims. We are always welcome in the Holy Land, as Jerusalem is the home of all peoples.
È la casa di tutti i popoli.
The friars of the custody of the Holy Land gather at St. Saviour's Friary. From there they travel to their Orthodox brethren to offer them Easter greetings. The first stop is the Greek Patriarchate, where they are welcomed by the metropolitans and the presbyters who live and work there, together with Patriarch Theophilus. The Easter greeting, Christos Anesti, Christ is risen, resonates in voices and hearts of all. The tradition of Easter greetings is not a mere formality, but a prophetic sign of a church walking toward unity and experiencing ecumenism as an urgent challenge here in the Holy Land. After the friars, the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, His Beatitude Cardinal Pizzaballa, will arrive, and with him the heads of all the other Christian churches, Syriacs, Copts, Ethiopians, Anglicans, Reformed. All will come together in a logic of mutual recognition that expresses attention toward the full communion of all the members of the mystical body of Christ, that is the Church. At the heart of the Cardinal's message lies precisely the need to be united in this time and in this earth. Christians are called to resist violence with love, fragmentation and ideological hatred, with a forgiveness that stems from the justice of the cross and shows everyone that another kind of society is possible, a society without discrimination and without bullying, in which one can live with the different, because in his face one has learned to recognize the face of the other par excellence, which is God himself. The friars continue their journey inside Jerusalem and arrive at the Syriac Vicariate, where Bishop Jack Jacobus welcomes them with his unmistakable smile. See how beautiful it is that the friars live together in unity, goes a psalm. And this word becomes flesh in the songs, toasts and affection that the Syriacs and Franciscans exchange. Then comes the turn of the Coptic brothers, the heirs of Saint Mark, who keep alive the great tradition of Egyptian monasticism of the first centuries. And then the Ethiopians, a very ancient church living in extreme simplicity, showing a discreet Christianity that spans the centuries. The visit to the brothers closes on May the 8th in the Armenian Patriarchate. Armenia, the first country to accept Christianity as an official religion, is a treasure trove of spiritual and cultural treasures. In the midst of the storm that sweeps through this society, the church has become more and more united, manifesting God's dream for humanity, communion among brothers who know the Father and live in his presence, which is what St. Paul VI called the civilization of love. The spring music season of the Terra Sancta Organ Festival ran from April the 12th to May the 1st, with 19 concerts in Lebanon and Syria. Organized by the Custody of the Holy Land, the festival takes different names depending on locations and partners. In Lebanon, concerts are organized together with Notre Dame University and the Lebanese Philharmonic Orchestra, giving rise to Lebanese Pipe Organ Week, with the collaboration of the Italian Cultural Institute in Beirut and the support of the embassies of Germany and Spain. As part of the festival, the organ of the Latin Cathedral was inaugurated in Beirut. The Lebanese Pipe Organ Week is the only festival that travels the entire length of the country, from north to south, from Tripoli to Tyre, via Mount Lebanon, Beirut, and up the Bekaa Valley. In Syria, the festival is named Organ and Music Festival Syria, and is organized in cooperation with the Damascus Opera House and the Higher Institute of Music. Maestro Misak Bagbudarian conducted the Syrian National Symphony Orchestra at the Opera House and the Higher Institute of Music Choir and Orchestra at St. Anthony's Church in Damascus. Other concerts were held in churches of the Custody of the Holy Land in Damascus, Aleppo and Latakia. Spaniard Aaron Ribas was the soloist for concerts with the orchestra in Lebanon and Syria. In addition to Lebanese and Syrian musicians and artists, international musicians from Italy, Spain, Austria and Germany were invited. The program explored the organ repertoire in various ways, with concerts for organ and orchestra, chamber music, solo recitals, and improvisations on silent films. Very innovative were the cross-art performances with organ improvisations by Italian Mario Mariani and live painting by Rudi Rahme in Lebanon, and together with Syrian dancers and percussionists in the Damascus Opera House. In the Middle East and the Levant, the Terra Sancta Organ Festival is often the only opportunity to hear the greatest of musical instruments with world-class musicians, thus contributing to the culture of the countries in which it takes place. Open yourself to a gesture of solidarity and support the mission of the Custody of the Holy Land. The Christian Media Center spreads the good news of Jesus by making known to the world the spirituality of the holy places and the lives of the Christians who live here. Your contribution will help us bring the proclamation of the risen Lord, the most urgent of all, to men and women of every language and nation. To help us concretely, open the QR code. Your choice makes a difference.